High stat armor is a requirement to make top tier builds. So in this video, I'll go over every source of high stat armor and the best ways to farm for them, whether you're in a team or a solo player. And stick around to the end of the video for a secret way to add stats to your armor. I'm Marshix, and the first thing you need to do before you farm for armor is equip one of these 6 ghost mods. Each one of these will make it so any and all armor you pick up will have a minimum of 10 in whichever stat you choose, and it's more likely to roll higher than that. This is basically a must-have mod, since you can greatly influence your drops to fit your exact build. And you can stack this with a few other things that I'll go over in a minute. Now, you can get high stat armor from a bunch of sources, but the most common source is powerful and pinnacle drops. Whenever you get one of these, if it happens to drop armor, the armor will most likely have 60 plus total stats. They aren't guaranteed, but a lot of my best armor has been from various powerful drops, including prime engrams since they do drop powerfuls. Another fairly common source of high stat armor is actually exotics. All exotics have a chance to drop with up to 70 total stats. They'll usually be mid to high 60s, but every once in a while they can be 70s. And some old exotics could be higher, although that was very rare. As I said, all exotics have a chance to be high stats, whether they drop from random enemies in the world and you decrypt them, or they drop from Nightfalls, or even solo legend and master lost sectors. So whenever you find an exotic, check its stats and hold on to it if it's good. However, you probably want legendary armor, and there's a way to directly farm for that. But first, this video is sponsored by HelloFresh. HelloFresh offers delicious food that anyone can make. Pick your favorite meals, then in less than a week, you'll get fresh, pre-measured ingredients delivered straight to your door. The recipes walk you through every step of the process, so you'll always have an easy and enjoyable cooking experience. Even I can do it. HelloFresh cuts down your time in the kitchen with meals ready in around 30 minutes or less, so you can get right back to playing games. And they have a huge variety to choose from with 40 recipes and over 100 seasonal and convenience items to choose from every week. They have something for everyone. And HelloFresh isn't just for dinner. They have you covered for every mealtime occasion, from snacks and easy lunches to seasonal celebrations and festive gatherings. Not to mention, HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% cheaper than takeout. I've tried dozens of these meals and I've liked every single one of them. Use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGMARSHIXJUNE16 to get 16 free meals plus free shipping. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Try it now because you don't want to miss out on this massive deal. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now, for a more direct farm for legendary armor, another great place to go is the Lightfall campaign. After you beat the campaign for the first time, you unlock the weekly version of it in the directory. This has multiple difficulties, and each one has a chance to drop high stat armor. Harder difficulties have higher drop rates for the armor, which helps a lot, but if you don't have a team, feel free to do these on hero difficulty for a match-made team to make it fast and easy. Just make sure you kill all champions throughout the mission, or else you won't get the full drop rates. And it's not just the Lightfall campaign that this works with. If you own the Witch Queen expansion and you level up Finch to level 13, you also unlock the weekly Witch Queen missions that can also drop high stat armor. Both campaigns work, but I will say, in general, the Witch Queen missions are a little bit faster, so that might be a more efficient spot to farm. Another activity introduced in the Witch Queen was the Wellspring. When you complete this on Master difficulty, not only will you get high stat armor, but you'll also have a chance to get Ascendant alloys at the same time. So while Wellspring isn't necessarily the fastest way to farm armor, you may still want to farm this to get some upgrade materials at the same time. The weekly campaign missions also drop it, but I feel like this has a much higher drop rate. Empire hunts. Similar to Nightfalls, but usually a little bit faster. The higher difficulties give you higher rewards, and they can drop high stat armor alongside enhancement cores and prisms. But remember to kill all champions or you'll miss out on some drops. But the easiest way to get high stat armor isn't actually by playing the game. Instead, just head over to the helm. At the vendors here, you can take your seasonal engrams and focus them into high stat armor. You will need the Defiant armor focusing upgrade at the war table, or the deep armor focusing upgrade for the sonar station. Now you just need to hoard a bunch of engrams and use them to purchase the armor you want. And make sure you have a ghost armor mod on to ensure you get your preferred stat. There are also some various upgrades to give you more engrams more often and passively as you play the game. So go ahead and unlock those before you start doing this. Speaking of focusing armor, you can also focus your Trials engrams to get high stat Trials armor, or your Iron engrams to get high stat Iron Banner armor. These aren't guaranteed to be high stats, but they do have a chance. But they also have a good chance of being garbage. To get the best armor in the game, you have to do dungeons. If you complete them on Master difficulty, you can get Artifice armor, which has an extra mod slot for a free +3 stat mod. 3 points might not sound like much, but you can use these to push you over to the next tier for some stats. These can drop from any encounter of Master Duality, Master Grasp of Avarice, Master Spire of the Watcher, and Master Ghost of the Deep. However, in my experience, Grasp of Avarice has the most consistently high drops. If you plan on farming any of these dungeons, be sure to run the final boss checkpoints, because they always have double drops, and it can drop any piece of armor, where some encounters drop only 1 or 2 pieces. Master dungeons will require a team, but one normal dungeon drops good armor and is easy to do solo. Pit of Heresy is one of the easiest dungeons, and it drops some of the best armor. You won't get Artifice armor, but the final boss will always drop armor with 2 guaranteed stat spikes. And you can force one of those spikes into a specific stat using your Ghost mod. This is amazing if you're going for double 100 builds. Like I said, you can solo this whole dungeon, but it's much faster if you do have someone to hold the checkpoint for you. It's also worth mentioning that all dungeons are farmable, but only on the weeks where they're the featured dungeon. If they aren't featured, you'll only get drops on the first run, so you won't be able to do this whenever you want. Another way to get huge stat spikes on armor is through Master Raids. Every encounter will drop high stat armor with a focus on a specific stat. The featured stat rotates every week, so on weeks where it's something good, like Resilience, be sure to farm it. These are also affected by ghost mods to force 2 spikes, but be careful not to use a mod that matches the same stat group of the featured stat. By that, I mean the top 3 stats are a group and the bottom 3 stats are a group. If both focuses are in the same group, one of them will be overwritten and your armor will become much worse. There are also a few other ways to further increase your armor stats. Hey, what are you doing not liking the video? Do it or else. The first way is by masterworking your armor. This will cost enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, and ascendant shards, but once they're fully masterworked, you'll get +2 in every stat for a +12 overall, which means if you masterwork all 5 pieces, you end up with an extra full tier in all 6 stats. Then once they're masterworked, you can put in stat mods to increase any stat by 10 points. Okay, now keep this a secret. This Solstice ornament is bugged to give you free stats on your armor. Look at my resilience now, then when I put on this ornament, you'll see that it went up by 1. 1 point might sound pathetic, but it can sometimes push you over to the next tier of resilience, which is easily the best stat. My build wouldn't even exist without this single point. This ornament is no longer available to unlock, but if you've been playing for a while, you may have it in your collections. This does work with all 3 characters, and there's no downside to it other than maybe looking ugly. Not sure why this works, but don't tell Bungie. You can also increase your stats by using subclasses. Each subclass has different fragments to choose from, and many of them have extra stats in addition to the ability. So if you have room for it in your build, you may want to throw some of these on for some extra stats. But that's not all. There are a bunch of other invisible stats that allow you to get 100s in all 6 stats at once, but you'll have to check out this video to see how. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.